And I've been asked, to do some reflections, and I will. And of course, I would like to congratulate all the females in the room today. It's an important day, but why is it so important? As a Norwegian, even though I'm now serving in Cyprus, we are kind of on the forefront, but we still need this day. And I will try to see with some of the reflections I've done with myself, or thought about, and on the future what we can do. And I must say there's a lot of reflections. And also listening to your Ministry of Defense and also General Carter today, I have more thoughts. But the time only permits that I can go through a few, and I will. And I will also try to see if I can bring some lesson learned or lesson identified, and what is needed for future peacekeeping operations. There's a lot of military also women on board here, and I have experienced all the being the first, having the pressure. You had to prove the ability that it was right, to be chosen for the right positions. I had to work twice as hard as my peers. If people ask me if it has been easy to go through that glass ceiling that I did, no, it's not. And but if I could choose again, would I choose another occupation? No, I wouldn't. I will still have that, because that's also something that is the driving factor, and the good thing being in the Defense Forces that you always have new challenges, and that's what I like. But I'm quite sure that and that exists today, and it exists even in the mission. I'm now present in UNIFIL. By the way, we have 6% females in our military. We have 20% UNPOL, and we have more than 60% of the leadership is female. So we are the exception, and just to say that. But the things that we normally meet the first as females, I think, is the I don't know if you've heard about the master suppression techniques. That is, that when you are in the military environment, you are you are invisible. How many of you have heard, if I would say today, welcome ladies, I will only apply to half of the audience. How many of you experience gentlemen? How many do you receive males, gents? Instead of using words like dear colleagues, dear all, you are being made invisible. Also, how many have experienced being ridicule, that people make fun of you? Or how many have experienced withholding of information? I was operation officers at the Balkans, and I was put as operation officers before somebody, some men that was older than me, but because the commander thought that I was the best suitable. What happened? They were so mad, and then they withhold information that in a way could make life and death for my soldiers. Should I send them with a convoy when you knew every time that convoy was sent, somebody was shot? Who should I send the first flight after the flight before was shot down? So I have experienced also double bin. It's also a typical depression technique. Heap blame, put to shame is another. And I'm quite sure some of you also experience, if you do that, I will, do this. And all these types of suppression techniques, they exist today. And I must say, you know, in the UN system, they exist. They exist in the Norwegian Defence Forces. So it's not something that is going away. So I think that I always ask myself a question: why is it so difficult for my male peers to understand that we are on equal terms? Is it only the physical? We have a saying in my country that, you know, to believe in others, you have to believe in yourself. And very often I meet very insecure male peers. We were actually already in the beginning of the 80s, when we deployed a lot of Norwegians to the Middle East. We saw the problems by not being able to check people on checkpoints. It started as simple as that, because the females in Lebanon, since there were no females or in the infantry could do the body search, they smuggle explosives, weapon, ammunition, and so forth. So that was our kind of first struggle, and in a way that struggle ended in that we opened up everything, all our combat arms, in 1985, because it was actually operational necessity. So that's important. In Operational Granby, I was there, and our Desert Storm. As a female in uniform, I have access to 100% of the population there, and that was also important, especially when you go to very to cultures that are having a total different culture when it comes to men and women. It's important to have both, and we saw that, and of course we were afraid that it would hamper, because we had actually in that unit where we were under the British operational control, we had 16% females in that unit, and we were afraid that it would hamper us, but it didn't. In uniform, you have access to everything, and that is incredibly important. At the Balkans, you know, at the Balkans, people are secular. It's not a big, but I would like to just mention one episode just to illustrate of doing something different. We had to evacuate. For those that remember the situation in 1992, the United Nations had to evacuate their headquarters from Sarajevo in May. I was leading the one of the last convoys out, and it was during shelling, and we were not able to bring with us everything because it was too dangerous to go and pick equipment up. But I had a lot of flowers that I've been buying before that I wanted to make it nice in our headquarters, because we had some nice pots outside and on the balcony. And that's also a little typical women, you know, in a very stressful, we would like to have it still nice and tidy and make the best out of it. So I bought a lot, and I also bought a lot of nice baskets from all the quarters in Sarajevo. So I put everything that in the car, and then the deputy, most of the first convoy went some days before us. They used 72 hours. They were stopped it took a long time. And for those that knows, from Sarajevo to Zagreb, where we went first, it only takes, around today, about 3-4 hours. And they used 72 hours. They had to actually stay in the cars and so on. It was kind of a hazard. So when we planned, I was then supposed to lead the convoy, and of course the deputy, he was so angry and said, "You have to take off the flowers, the oldest things in the car." But I said, "Why? I bought it. I will not leave it here. Then it will be destroyed." So and we because of the shelling, we had to just hurry. So that was in a way good. once for first time it was good to have some shelling, so we couldn't argue. We just had to go. And then I also picked a female driver, and we started to drive, and of course this grumpy guy sitting with a lot of flowers in the back, and we come to the first checkpoint, and my driver rolls down the window, you know, and in the language, local language, they ask, you know, the phrases "good day" and so on, and he was, first of all, it was females in the front, so he was started to be a little interested, and then he saw this very grumpy guy sitting in the back with a lot of flowers and green, and he started starting to laugh, and he just kind of, okay, where are you going? Okay, you can go. And, you know, he probably made his day, you know, something fun to look at. And so the whole convoy and that happened all the way. And in the end, you know, he was much more taking care of the flowers. He realized that actually doing something total different, not very, you know, macho thing, saved us. So we used actually 8 hours out of Sarajevo. And we were not taken, anything was taken from our convoy, it went through. So it's just to show that doing something else that they don't expect with a little female touch is good. So, okay, I used a little time on that. I see the time is running. What I have been really, when I've been out, I always have started to build networks, female networks, because wherever I go, there is a lack, and build networks to get the contacts into the society where we operate. That has been very valuable. In Afghanistan, we did that, and then we suddenly had access to female interpreters, and we could go out, and our reports were so good. So the intel asked, where on earth have you been doing? Why don't we get all this information from the guys? But of course, we could approach 100% of the society. Of course, we will get more information. That actually can save lives for our soldiers. As simple as that. I think also the experience working also with, and I'm sorry, since I'm in UK, I have to use some example. UK, where a part, of course, of ISAF, they didn't have any females in the infantry. They had to borrow my female officers. They were going to do house searching or going through houses. They couldn't do that without females. So sometimes it's late, so I said, well, you know, get a grip. You need to open up. You need to get trained females into all types of units if you're going to solve your task. I think that it's important. What did we do sometimes in Afghanistan? Well, to engage the females, we were not allowed to do it because there were no task in our operation order from NATO. But we did it anyway because we saw the benefit. Yes, it was mission creep, but we did it. And after a while, also the headquarters understood that was the important. The females of Afghanistan is the one to raise the children, the next generation. If you don't go into that segment in the society, how are you going to have a comprehensive and sustainable solution? You need to, and you also need to stop treating women as victims, but as a resource in society. Future. Time is... the best thing is, wherever I have been going or we go, you need to analyze the society. You need to see the segments. Where are the not spoilers, but where are the society not coming along? And very often it is in the case of women and children. We also say that we need to reflect as when you deploy with a force, it has to reflect the democratic, the equal rights, all the things that your country has actually signed up to do. And that's why you need to have both gender, because you need always to reach out 100%. I just want to say that Norway, finally, that we have done the kind of totally against any other NATO country. We have then, from this year, started with conscription for females. Because it's important that the women in the society actually also have to take a part of that responsibility. So maybe UK should have a part of their force should be conscription, and for both. So in a way, you always have an anchor in the society. If you become a society within the society, how are you going to solve it? My time is up.